Hey guys, how's it going? And thanks for coming. I'm Nick, and this is Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money, because schools aren't, so let's get started. So if you haven't noticed, the quality in audio might be a little different because I do have a new camera. I'm testing it out for our stock market weekly recap. Hopefully it's better. Invested a little money into this, so if you guys have any comments about it, let me know if it's better, if it's worse. Hopefully it's not worse, but we're going to move forward. This is definitely my first time trying this out with the new setup. Hopefully it works out. So I think I have it all set up and everything seems at least somewhat balanced out. But for this video, guys, we are doing the stock market weekly recap. If you've been following us, welcome back. And if you're new, what we do is we look at the previous week in the stock market to see what's going on, some popular news stories, some individual stocks, a couple mutual funds. So let's get into it. So hopefully you guys had a good week. For this week, the market was pretty interesting. I was definitely looking more into Bitcoin, just because it's so freaking popular recently. Everyone and their mother is talking about it. So I'm definitely adding the Bitcoin price to the weekly recap so everyone knows what's kind of going on with it. Thing is, it swings so high and low that it's really different every single day. But I'll try to keep up with it for every week. But first, let's look at the Dow. For the Dow this week, did all right. We got the 0.4% up this week. Still rocking the 24,000, and year to date still very good, 23%. Moving right along to the S&P 500 index that we normally look at. That was up 0.35%. Year to date still looking strong of 18%. And of course, the last main index that we look at is the NASDAQ. NASDAQ was slightly down, nothing too crazy, of down 0.11%. But of course, you could see year to date still wrecking it at 27%. All right, so before getting into anything too crazy, we got to look at Bitcoin, because that's the most popular thing going on with the stock market. People aren't even looking at stocks anymore. A lot of people are looking at Bitcoin. It's everywhere. You're probably seeing YouTube ads about Bitcoin even. But we could look at this chart. I'm getting this from Coinbase. Definitely a popular site that people are able to buy, sell, and exchange Bitcoin. This price was most recently taken for, what the hell today's date is. You can see at the bottom there, actually. December 10th. It is a Sunday, but it is in the $15,000 mark. Earlier in the week, you can see the chart. It was over 17,000, and it was just destroying. You can see just this week is up over 30%. So obviously, if you've been watching Bitcoin at all, it is extremely volatile. Every day is either up or down 10%, 20%. So when you look at the stock market indexes of up 20% for the year, yeah, Bitcoin kind of did that for the past day. So it's completely different, up over 1,000%. At one point it was up 2,000% for this year. So that's why I'm looking at it. I actually did have a previous video of if Bitcoin is a bubble and is it going to crash in 2018. A lot of people are talking about that, thinking that way. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description to check out. People are thinking that it's going to hit 40,000 by the end of the year. I could definitely see it hitting 20,000 by the end of the year, maybe even this week. But next year is definitely going to be interesting for Bitcoin. But let's start moving forward with our normally scheduled program of individual stocks, starting off with Apple. Apple, a little down this week. You could see they closed at 169.37 this week, almost down 1%. Not too crazy, but for year to date, of course, still rocking it at that 46%. Moving right along to a stock that I'm definitely watching, especially with Star Wars coming out next week. For those of you dressing up as Yoda and Stormtroopers to see the movie, hope it's good. I'll probably go and see it just because it's Star Wars. But Disney closed at 104.23. You could see on Monday they shot up very nicely, over 4%, close to 5%. But just talks of basically Star Wars and how that's coming out soon. So it's probably going to start, it has started rebounding. Since it was below 100, now it's over 100. But for this week, it was still down around 1% year to date, just breaking even. Now, tech stocks have been very interesting recently just because of that recent sell-off. You know, a bunch of these very hot players, popular stocks and companies got slammed for a couple of reasons. People are assuming, you know, profit taking, different sector rotations. So, looking at Facebook, they closed at 179. They were up a pretty good amount for this week of 2.23%, over 50% for this year. And our next tech giant of Google, still pretty solid above that $1,000 mark. Very good for this week, actually, of 2.66. I say really good when freaking Bitcoin moves that in like a second. But for Google, 2.66% for this week. Year to date, still strong above that 30%. Now, again, talking about that sell-off that we had a little while ago with these huge tech plays, there was a dip, and I feel like a bunch of people are getting in at these lower levels just because it's a dip, right? So it's a bit cheaper, they're getting in, so they're starting to creep back up to where they were before the sell-off. So that's when like a sell-off happens or a correction, you really shouldn't worry too much. As long as the company's still solid, it's just going to rebound. So moving on to our next one, Starbucks. Away from the tech industry, they closed at 58.61. You could see this week did pretty good at 2.25% in the positive, up around 5.5% for this year. And Starbucks is slowly but surely rebounding because of their international growth, as well as they're having these new roasteries. All right, so for these roasteries, right? You know how there's like beer breweries for like beer and stuff. You know, there's these fancy things. They show you how to make it. They have these huge, you know, steel whatevers. Starbucks is basically trying to do that with coffee. So definitely more upscale than just a coffee shop. It's kind of like a sit down area where it's kind of loungy. So that's pretty cool. I think they're opening their first one, maybe second one very soon. But, you know, that's definitely growth for that sector of coffee. Plus, everyone needs their freaking coffee. So long term, no worries whatsoever. Now I wanted to, as well as Bitcoin, I want to add that to our weekly recap. I wanted to just always keep it fresh for you guys. If I hear of like a new stock, new company, maybe they're making big moves, I wanted to let you guys know. So one that I've been looking at recently is PayPal. PayPal has been doing very, very well this year. They IPO'd, I think, a year, maybe two ago. Kind of late to the party, unfortunately. You could see that they are up 84% for this year. You could see toward the end of that chart, it is a bit down, so there is a dip. But I think for the long term for PayPal, you know, just that like online mobile type of payments is definitely a futuristic type of thing. They actually spun off. eBay used to owe PayPal, so they spun off. PayPal's their own thing. They IPO'd and they're doing very well. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on them. If they even go it any lower, you know, if there's a correction or anything, they're definitely a play that I would actually like to get into. Okay, so those were the individual stocks. Let's look at the normal mutual fund that we look at is Fidelity Contra Fund. They got slammed on Friday, obviously. You could see here closing at 121.93, down almost 5% on Friday alone. For the week, they were down around 3.25%. Now, I tried to figure out why they were down massively on Friday. I looked at their top holders. You know, they're holding like Amazon, Apple, Visa, you know, big plays that we normally look at as well. Nothing too crazy, so I don't know if they have like maybe other less popular holdings that they did really bad on, or maybe, you know, something with fund managers, they're selling out to take profits again. I'm not really sure, but this was definitely a huge move, especially for a mutual fund. A mutual fund moving that drastically in a day is pretty big, so definitely wanted to let you guys know. So that's kind of it, guys. Coming up on 2018 very, very quickly. Is a crash or correction happening next year? A bunch of people are talking about it. I'm definitely being more cautious, but we'll just have to see. Bitcoin, huge thing. But let me guys know what you're thinking. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. Let me know how my new setup is. I even got a freaking remote control type of thing going on. So this is pretty cool. Let me know what's going on. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money, because not many people are. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.